On Purpose in Power. Welcome to the first podcast in the second series of Five Wise Women Gather Healing Circle. I'm Dr. Marva McLean, your host, and I'm inviting you to step into this circle with me as we dive into the ways purpose steadies our steps, lights our path, and calls us to rise into our dreams with clarity and joy. Welcome. Radiant souls, I'm so happy to have you here with me today as we open our circle with a theme that is very close to my heart: purpose, the journey into the dreams that fulfill us. In this sacred space, we gather not only to reflect, but to inspire one another, to remember that purpose is more than what we do. It is the very essence of who we are and how we are arising. Together, we'll explore how purpose steadies our steps, lights our way, and calls us to rise into our dreams with courage and joy. And today, I'd like for you to take away one clear purpose sentence that you can put into use immediately. An action plan, goals, weekly rhythms, and a feedback loop to guide you along your path, and tools to overcome blockers such as depletion, perfectionism, fear, or simply finding yourself drifting away from your purpose. And so, to begin this afternoon's session, I start with a poem. It's called The Light That Shines Within Me. I search the horizon, asking the sea, the sky, the passing wind, what is my purpose? The silence answered first, a hollow echo of questions I feared to ask myself. I bent low to the earth, listening to the throb beneath my feet, and there I heard it, the steady pulse of my arising. Purpose is a compass within, the soul of the journey, the very reason for being. It navigates for life's journeys, turning me toward the work of love, the labor of justice, the quiet tending of my dreams. Now I know and I accept. My responsibility is to walk with courage, to lift others as I rise, and to keep faith with a light that shines unbroken inside of me. What then is purpose? And I share with you my perspective, which is to pursue your purpose is to walk in hope. It becomes a journey that takes you to a place of peace. So, without that sense of purpose, I believe it's almost impossible to experience a sense of peace. It is that steady why beneath your life, an orienting commitment to serve something that is larger than yourself. It's larger than comfort, applause, or even convenience. It is that thread that unifies your gifts, your values, and your responsibilities into one meaningful direction. And it doesn't have to be grand or it doesn't even have to be public, but it has to be true to you. When you act from purpose, you feel that sense of coherence. Your choices line up with what you believe, and your energy renews itself rather than drains you. And setbacks refine you instead of defining you. You recognize that these setbacks are opening up a pathway to a deeper understanding, a deeper level of experiencing just who you are and what you're about. So let's engage in this simple test for what purpose is. It is enduring. It survives outcomes and it survives seasons. It is in the service of others. It benefits people or places beyond you, beyond the self. And it helps to shape your identity because it expresses who you are and who you are at your very best. It's actionable. It translates into very specific steps, measurements to a particular, to guide you on your particular journey. And it's renewing as well because it energizes you and it keeps that very high level of vibration as you go about your daily activities. So let's clarify the meaning of purpose by looking at words that are similar in meaning to purpose, but do not give an exact meaning or definition. So let's start with goal. A goal is a specific result one can aim for to achieve by a particular deadline. It is time bound, it's measurable, and you can check it off on your checklist. For example, I will publish my book by June 30th, 2026. That's a goal. And now I have to put action steps into achieving this goal. So the relationship to purpose is that your goals are your milestones that advance your purpose, but they're not the reason that you exist. Objective is another word that has a similar meaning and a definite connection to purpose. An objective is a precise, a very concrete step of performance target that supports a goal. So to achieve any goal, you must have objectives that you put into place. They're measurable, they're narrow, they're tactical, and often numeric. For example, I will write 500 words each morning, 5 days a week. That's an objective, a specific step I must take in order to complete the writing of my book. Purpose also connects to dream, which is a vivid desire or vision for a preferred future. So I'm looking towards my future as a writer, a researcher who engages in educational and cultural legacy consultancy. And there are specific steps and measurable steps too that I must participate in along this journey. My overall dream is to become a published author and an international speaker and consultant. So your dream is imaginative. It's motivating, but it's not structured. It has that looseness to it. And that this looseness allows for flexibility. The dream will remain constant, but the activities that you engage in surrounding that dream may change from time to time. The relationship to purpose, dreams inspire. That's their biggest pull. Purpose anchors those dreams. Dreams point to what could be, while purpose clarifies why it matters and how you will show up. Another word worthy of our examination is destiny, which is a felt sense of life's larger arc, what is calling us, what's pulling on us, that seems to fit us. And we know inherently, instinctively, the meaning and the reason for this pull, which goes to your dreams and your objectives and your goals. So oftentimes, this sense of destiny is mysterious. It's often spiritual, and sometimes you feel that it is a guide. It is something that's guiding your steps, your journey. For example, you may think, my destiny, I was made to teach and heal through story. The relationship to purpose is that destiny is the story, that sense that this is what I'm doing with my life. Now, purpose becomes the stance that you will take as you journey towards this destiny. It is your chosen response to what you perceive to be your destiny. So, in summary, your purpose is why I'm here to serve. Your goals are the outcomes you must take to achieve this 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 purpose. The objectives are how I'll execute this plan week by week or day by day. And your dreams, those are those culminate in what is it that I'm hoping for? What is it that I am longing to see? And as a result will do to attain. And your destiny is that sense of that larger whole to which you belong, which you are part of. So let's pause now to talk a little bit about finding and refining your purpose. There are about 5 steps I'm going to suggest that you take to get to that point where you can more clearly identify what your purpose is. Name your burdens and your joys. Purpose lives where heartbreak and gift overlap. So ask yourself, what suffering do I feel the call to lessen? That is that area in life that you can work to make it better for others, those others whom you are serving. What makes you alive, what brings you to the sense of aliveness that I am living purposefully. I am inherently engaged in this life force that is larger than me. It's larger than myself, and it calls me to my destiny. So list the things that are non-negotiable for you. And circle 3. If an activity opposes these, then it's off purpose, even if it looks impressive. So, for example, my purpose is to research and write about the cultures of indigenous people, bring their story to the world to clarify global understanding of who they are and their gifts to the world. And for example, I research, I travel, and I may decide that I am going to be pursuing a course in economic development and finance management. And while that may enhance my work in some way, it is not purpose driven because it's not specific enough to the goals that I need to pursue to become a writer, an international speaker, and a global consultant. So that may be an impressive objective that I want to take on, but it's not speaking to my the sense of destiny or the dream that I'm holding for myself. So I would delete that for my list of must do, my list of non-negotiable things that I need to pursue, because that's negotiable. Another important step we need to take when we're searching to define our purpose is to trace our threads. Trace that thread that takes you all the way back to your childhood. So look at your childhood fascinations. When you were 5 or 6, what fascinated you? What held your interest? What is it that you desired to do that brought you joy? You would be complimented for this. You would feel strengthened by what others had to say as they observed you working, and they're complimenting you and elevating you. And this sense of efficacy also elevates you and propels you towards fulfilling your dreams and bringing clarity to what your purpose is. So from that, write a sentence, write a purpose sentence. For example, I, Marva McLean, exist to serve Aboriginal, Indigenous, and the people of the African diaspora. So I exist to, that's the blank, fill that in. Now, let's extend the sentence. I exist to blank by doing, and say specifically what you will do. I will research, I will conduct research, hold conversations, travel to different countries, hold meetings in order so that I may create work that leads to whatever particular transformation you have identified as your goal. So you convert purpose into weekly practices, learning, creating, serving, and of course, resting, because resting is an essential part of this entire journey. If we do not take care of ourselves, we won't be able to do the work with the sense of efficiency that it demands. So, purpose kept only in the mind will dissolve over time. Purpose needs practice that will deepen your understanding of who you are and your purpose. So let's review our purpose checklist so that we can avoid some common confusions about what purpose is. A purpose versus achievement is success without alignment, which is going to feel hollow. So that if you're just achieving, but it's not anchored in purpose, these are the times when we feel the sense of burnout or hollowness or n- not contentment with how we are living our lives, so that your action steps, your goals and your daily routine must be in alignment with your purpose. And to achieve that, you're experiencing a sense of wholeness as you go about executing your work plan. Passion alone is not purpose. It is essential to your purpose, but it is not a purpose. So you may have that fire inside of you to engage in a particular set of activities, and that's a good thing. But that by itself is not purpose. You must have a specific goal to achieve, the action steps to bring that goal to fruition, and you must be serving a force, a body, people outside of yourself. So it's not just being engaged in activities that, bring us joy or a sense of excitement. It has to go beyond that, so that you are constantly engaged in this process, and it's inevitable. It is something that you must do in order to experience that sense of wholeness. So here's an encouragement from me, so that I want us to be alert to the realization that purpose is, it's not a destination that you finally arrive at. It is a faithful way of traveling through your life. And I'm going to say that again. Purpose is a faithful way of traveling through your life. You set your goals, you define your objectives, and you honor your dreams. You trust that arc, that sense of wholeness that envelops you. You let purpose be your quiet compass. So start with one truthful act of service today. Decide what it is you want to do with your life, the people that you want to serve, and walk in it. Begin to walk in that purpose today, and again tomorrow, and tomorrow, and 1,000 tomorrows. Over time, your life will read like a clear sentence of who you are and what you're offering for the based on what you think the world needs. So let me clarify my own purpose, at least one aspect of it. One aspect of it. It's that fire that lights within me, that lights me up. Writing Rise and Shine, for example, my latest book, Rise and Shine, You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to You, that has been central to my purpose as I have discussed and defined it before. Page by page, I learned that purpose is a daily practice of courage, truth telling, and consistent action. If you're hearing that small voice calling you forward, honor it. Start where you are. Take one brave step today, then another, and another and another. Let your purpose meet you in motion. And in Rise and Shine, write from the core of my calling. Writing this book has been central to my purpose, helping me to clarify my way and understanding and strengthening my voice and reminding me that purpose is not a destination. Rise and Shine is just one path on this journey towards realizing this broader dream, which comes under the umbrella of that arc, which is my purpose. So I say to you, walk your path boldly. Take one faithful step today. Start the page. Make the call. Share the idea. Your gifts are needed, and they're needed right now. You need to give in to the pursuit of your purpose in order to feel fulfilled. And that I know for sure. And it's a non negotiable stance. Yes, everyone can have purpose, but it doesn't always show up on a single step or a single moment of clarity. Purpose can be discovered. There are people who say to me, but I don't know what my purpose is. Yes, it can be discovered. You can choose it and you can grow into your purpose, especially through responsibilities, relationships, and service. If you find the pathway towards the community that you want to be of service to, that's one way of getting to the heart of what your purpose is. So, how does this relate to passion? I'm going to just repeat to kind of give a summary of what I said before. Passion is your strength. You have a strong interest in this, it energizes you. However, your purpose is that sustained why that serves beyond the self, beyond you. And they can arrive in any order. Passion may lead to purpose. You love writing. That's your passion. You commit to heal and empower through stories. That's your purpose. So you choose, for example, you may be someone who chooses to mentor teens. That's your purpose. And it brings you joy for pedagogy that grows into passion. So you see how one thing can lead to another, and over time you ride your passion and it brings you to the core of your purpose. Together they become braided over time and give you that foundation on which to journey in fulfilling the pathway towards your purpose. So that we struggle for that harmony in our lives from passion to purpose. Does everyone have a purpose? I talked a little bit about that a moment ago. And what does having a purpose really mean? It's it gives you stability. It's that stabilizing why in your life. It's the reason you choose to show up, the difference you aim to make for someone or something beyond yourself. It's not the same as a job title or even your talent, because you can have job status, you can have a grand title, and you can be very talented. However, these do not um, naturally lead to realization of your purpose. These are expressions of your purpose. The important connection here is that you pursue a particular pathway over time that brings you a sense of contentment and fulfillment, and it inspires you to go on. Your purpose driven on your journey. While it's universal that we all may attain a purpose, it doesn't mean that it necessarily just happens to us. We have to maintain that capacity that makes our purpose available to us. Some people live a singular purpose. I mentor teen girls, and that's it. Others lived, others may live in a layered way, moving from one area of development to another, to the next, and to the next, as you journey towards your purpose. For example, you may be a teacher, you may be involved in parenting, community work, and you develop this into a creative practice. So both stances are valid. The person who has one singular purpose, and it's very similar to and just as valid as a person who has a layered sense of what their purpose is. And I feel I fall into that second category. So while writing is a central part of my life, I take a layered approach to it. I research, I travel, I write, I engage in different genres of writing, but my goal is ultimately um, focused on realizing the purpose of giving voice, of becoming a voice of the diaspora, of giving a voice to Indigenous people, Black people, and Aboriginal people to strengthen to make a contribution to strengthen their position in this world in which we live. And it's a world that um, brings us a lot of challenges that sometimes divert one on their pathway, on their journey. But that purpose, that sense of serving others, of realizing goals and putting objectives into place to arrive at a destination which reveals your stance of serving others. That's the motivation. That's the purpose driven element of your journey. So there are times when we experience burnout and that sense of not being on our path. This is when you have to be honest. You have to take an audit of what it is you're doing, how you're doing it, what you may need to delete from your agenda, and what you may need to replace to put in its stead. And from time to time, I've found myself in that position. Is this what I need to do at this time? Is this the book that I need to write? Or is there a book that is more urgent, that needs my attention? Is there an action step that I need to take that is more urgent than the one that I'm doing now? Is this particular uh, pursuit that I'm engaged in, is it serving my purpose? And if those questions don't provide answers that make sense, then I know it's time to make changes. And in terms of talking about purpose, I will share with you how this realization of what my purpose is, what it should be, and how it will shape my journey, how I was awakened to this. And here it is, why I write. I was about 7 years old when my primary school teacher, Miss Parker, assigned the class the topic, an early morning walk. We were to take a walk early morning before school and then write a description of it when we got there. Walking the short distance from my home to the wharf across the street by the seaside in Aracabessa, Jamaica, my senses thrilled to all the sights and soothing sounds I encountered. I saw the banana men up before the rest of the town, walking to the wharf, machete snug on their hips. Birds chirped early morning rhythms, inviting those still in bed to rise and shine. I walked past Hobson's shop and inhaled the whiffs of bread baking in the oven in readiness for early morning shoppers. Standing by the wharf, I heard the waves from the sea beat out an orchestra of sounds that matched the rhythm of my exultant heart. I walked to school that morning, exhilarated by all the sensory details I had gathered like seashells along the beach. The atmosphere, the images, the sounds, the smells, the emotions, the touch of the morning breeze on my cheeks. I was ready to write. That thrill, that thrill of putting words on paper has never left me. My 7 year old girl rises up from time to time, a wink in her eyes, reminding me, girl, you were born to write. And so I write because words first found me in the rituals of the ordinary. At 7 years old, seated at a wooden desk in Miss Parker's classroom, I was asked to describe an early morning walk. With pen trembling in hand, I discovered that writing was more than an exercise. It was an invitation to witness the world around me, and I have been bearing witness ever since. I wrote of the banana men then with their machetes heading towards the wharf, of the bread being baked in the oven, the long sweep of dawn as it draped itself across the sleeping village. And I realized that when I carried this to the page, it was not just description, it was memory, it was rhythm, and it was breath. And I've been breathing. I've continued to breathe the essence of this beautiful sensation of writing. And so that child self taught me something I continue to believe, that the ordinary is sacred. A walk at sunrise, a neighbor's greeting, the rustle of leaves. These moments, so easily overlooked, hold the shimmer of truth and the weight of belonging. And these moments have become so essential to my life. And so I write. Writing has become my ritual of remembrance, my method of stitching fragments into wholeness, my method of giving meaning to life. I write in faith with that discovery to honor the beauty of the everyday and to amplify the voices carried in ancestral memories. And so you will hear that not just in the books I write, but the poetry that I perform. These are all essential steps forming those goals which become the rituals that help to lead me towards actualizing my purpose. I write because language has the power to heal, to steady us when the world sways, to remind us that even in brokenness, there is rhythm, there's purpose, and there is song, and there is dance. In every line I place upon the page, I am still that 7 year old girl called by Miss Parker to walk in the morning light and to return with words and make that moment eternal. So, here's a clear, research informed view we can use as we try to write and execute our purpose. Ask yourself these three essential questions based on the work that you do. Am I depleted? Am I distracted? Am I disoriented? That is, am I experiencing burnout? Am I engaged in a sense of busyness or a loss of clarity? What has changed in your life? Health, caregiving, job, grief, success, boredom? These are important questions. You need not only just to ask yourself, but to examine the meaning that comes from the answers to those questions. And finally, ask yourself, what What still remains true in my life? What remains important? What can I identify that is essential to who I am? Your values, the people you serve, the strengths you trust. You must be able to identify these aspects of your life. If you're in burnout mode, fix it with energy. Engage in movement and not just physical movement, which is essential, but emotional and psychological and intellectual movement. Absolutely important. If you're distracted, fix that with focus. You must be focused in order to realize your purpose, to activate your purpose. If you're disoriented and not clear on what you're about, what your purpose is, and it's okay to get off track from time to time. I've been there myself. I very recently experienced severe repetitive grief from loss, and I found myself in a valley, in a place that I questioned myself. I felt off-centered. However, writing helped to strengthen me, to fix my place in in this valley. And as I turned to writing, it helped to invigorate me and to strengthen that sense of purpose. And it helped to put me back on my path because writing gives me a sense of discipline. I schedule specific times to write, specific hours to utilize in that writing time. And those action steps, those that connection with words, um, also lead to dreaming, also lead to elevating your sense of involvement with the world around you. And language, as I discussed and shared in the Miss Parker story, the early morning walk, language appeals to all your senses and your all the sensuousness and the sensual details of writing really help to invigorate um, a writer like myself and to elevate that your level of vibration on which you're operating. So you must find that thing, that essence that someone like me finds in writing. You must find that in your purpose driven stance. So, um, to get you back on track, you must name who you are serving, the people that you are called to serve, to work with, to represent, to interact with. You need to clarify that. And let's do that this week. Before this week is over, make sure that you work on that and you're able to arrive at an answer. You finish more on purpose tasks this week than off purpose tasks. Remember earlier on, we talked about the things that were essential to our journey, they were non negotiable, and those that were negotiable, you could write, cross off of your task list. So work on that as well this week. Look at what maybe um, posing a setback to you and the work you want to be engaged in. Look critically at that, audit it, and edit it to serve your purpose. This is a consciousness you're bringing to what might be derailing you and how you can correct that and bring you back in line with your purpose. So, a quick self check, and you may score yourself on 1 to 5 and for each of this, with 1 is a low, 5 is a high, so you obtain a particular score on which you can kind of gauge where you're going. um, if you can, I can name who benefits from my work right now. Ask yourself that question. If you can do that, that's a 5 point. I do at least one purposeful act on most days. What are the action steps you're taking as you're journeying towards this purpose? Third self check question. After doing this work, my energy rises. It's net positive. It moves along the scale upwards most weeks. Give yourself a score for that out of 5. I receive specific feedback that my work helps. And now this is your responsibility. This is your job to ensure to find those people who are in a position to give you feedback on your work, what it is you're doing. So you have to create a checklist list to monitor the work that you have been engaged in. And here's the one that most important for me. I have a repeatable rhythm in my daily activities. This is important. Those essential steps that you're taking as you're journeying towards your purpose, you must make a rhythm of them, a story, a song, a movement, a dance, that they become a ritual. They are a ritualistic pattern that represents your work and the life you're engaged in. And I have several rituals, daily practices that I engage in as a means of feeding my soul and helping me to sustain the challenging work that I am engaged in. And if you know me and you follow me on social media, you will know that I dance every day. I get up every morning and I do my stretches and then I dance. And it creates the mood that I need it's like a kickoff point to get going. I love the rhythm. I typically dance to dancehall music, and it's hilarious sometimes. It's so funny. Jamaicans are hilarious people. The humor is something else. And it's my culture, my cultural vibration, and I absolutely enjoy it. Plus it's good for my body, and it begins that dopamine, release that energizes me and kickstarts me for the day. So some benefits of pursuing your purpose, your personal well being. It brings you to a higher level of resilience. It lowers stress and burnout, and it improves your mental health. And it renews your energy. So go for it. Your performance and growth expand. Focus and momentum. It reduces your fatigue and distractions because you're engaged in something purposeful. It brings consistency into your life. We talked about those rituals, those necessary repeated patterns that energize, uplift. And it also improves your skills. I've been writing since I was 7 years old, and therefore I've become an excellent writer. And that is something that I know and I accept. And it elevates my consciousness and my sense of awareness and self love and self understanding. These are essential aspects of our lives that we need to know, to acknowledge, and to embrace. And I do so without hesitation. Being purposeful also improves your relationships, trust, magnetism, charisma. People are drawn to you because they experience that pull towards you as someone who is focused, as someone who is driven, and as someone who inspires them. That's an essential part of being purpose driven. Your decision quality also improves because you have to be making decisions on your feet. If something is not working, you have to decide how it is. um, the change you will make, how you will go about making changes. And you do so based on the data you've gathered about you, who you are, and your journey. So your decision making becomes sharper, crisp, on point, because you know what you're about. And so, my friend, I have come to the end of this presentation. I am so grateful that you have joined me, and I hope this our first podcast, season 2, 2025 to 2026, has helped to bring some clarity on the meaning of purpose and how you may go about your purpose-driven life. And as I started with a poem, poetry is at the heart of my work. I want to end with a poem as well. And this poem is called The Wisdom We Carry. And I pay homage to women like myself, women who have grown from their experiences, who carry wisdom, and the world needs our wisdom. So let's not hesitate to share this wisdom that we've gathered from our years of experiences, our travel, our connection, our education, working life, gallivanting life, travel, and all of that. Let's not hesitate to put it to good use, because as I said, the world needs our wisdom. We are the change that the world seeks. This is called the wisdom we carry. The wisdom we carry. We are daughters of the first fire, keepers of lullabies and laments, our hands shaping bread, our voices shaping futures. Within our silence lies counsel, within our laughter, healing. We carry the wisdom of rivers, the patience of seeds, the courage of earth that yields and renews. Humanity bends towards the strength that steadies storms, the love that softens strife, the peace we set upon boardroom tables, the breath of life we place in another's chest. We're warriors when called, guardians always, nurturing, feeding, guiding, growing, with hands and hearts wide open. Across centuries and continents, we breathe life into others. We bring renewal where the soil is dry. Our wisdom charts the map to survival, teaches the world to rise again and again. As we close this first gathering, I invite you to carry this truth with you. Purpose is not a far off destination, it is the rhythm of your daily work, the steady beat that aligns your goals with your dreams. So let us walk in purpose. Let us live with intention and rise into the dreams that fulfill us. Until we gather again, my friends, remember, shine your light, make the circle brighter, and honor the wisdom within you. I am Marva McLean. Thank you for joining me, and continue to walk in the strength and beauty of your wisdom. One love.